6:15, this is the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. The news edited by Lakshman Fonseca and read by Lavani Vijayatunga. First, we take a look at the headlines. The President paid homage to the historic Jayashree Mahabodhiya in Anuradhapura. The central bank says that baseless rumours are spread that the bank has ruled to convert the entirety of workers' remittances forcibly into Sri Lankan rupees. Plans are afoot to introduce the price control mechanism to reduce the prices of chemical fertilizers. Minister Gammampila says that there is a political conspiracy behind the obstacles made against the regaining of the Trincomalee oil tanks. CB says there will be no disruptions to the power supply across the island today. In news overseas, hospitalization of children with COVID-19 soars in the United States. And in sports news, national players intend to retire are required to provide a 3-month prior notice, the Sri Lanka cricket rules. Those were the headlines, and now move on to the details of the local news. President Gotabaya Rajapaksa says has paid homage to the historic Jayashree Mahabodhiya in Anuradhapura. The president, who arrived at the sacred area this morning, called over the chief prelate of the Atamathaniya, Venerable Dr. Palligama Srinivasa Thera. The president held discussions with him about the present situation of the construction of the vehicle park for the pilgrims. The Mahasangha chanted Seth Pirith near the Jayashree Mahabodhiya and invoked blessings on the president. The president exchanged views with a large number of students who would sit for the Grade 5 scholarship examination, advanced level examination, and the devotees who had come to worship the Bodhiya. President Rajapaksa, who went to Ruanvelli Mahasaya sacred area yesterday, visited the registrar of the Ruanvelli Mahasaya, Venerable Palligama Hemaratana Thera. The Thera handed over a book with songs written by him to the president. Thereafter, the president took part in a religious event organized by the Irrigation Ministry to bless the new year. The Central Bank of Sri Lanka says that baseless rumours have spread that the bank has ruled to convert the entirety of the workers' remittances forcibly into Sri Lankan rupees. The Central Bank of Sri Lanka has directed licensed banks to strictly adhere to the rules stipulated by the bank with regard to the conversion of foreign exchange proceeds of the customers. The bank said that the recent rules issued by the Central Bank is in respect of the repatriation and conversion of export proceeds to Sri Lankan rupees have been misinterpreted by certain parties. Issuing a statement today, the Central Bank said the rules on the conversion of export proceeds do not apply to workers' remittances. The Central Bank stressed that the migrant workers who channel their earnings through the licensed central banks and other formal channels may hold such funds in foreign exchange. Accordingly, it is not mandatory for Sri Lankans working abroad to convert their remittances into Sri Lankan rupees, the bank said. The government says plans are afoot to introduce a price control mechanism to reduce the prices of chemical fertilizers. At a function held in Gannorua, Kandy, Agriculture Minister said the farmers will be able to purchase chemical fertilizers from the open market at a reasonable rate from the next Yala season. He said adequate chemical fertilizer stocks will be imported in time for the upcoming Yala season. The minister admitted that there is not enough time to purchase chemical fertilizers and to use it for the existing Maha season. The fertilizer necessary for the Yala season will be imported by upcoming April month. The minister also stated that fertilizer companies have already placed the orders and there would be no shortage of chemical fertilizers in the market in the coming Yala season. This is the news from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation.
Sudhana from People's Bank. Give your child the strength to succeed.
And we continue with more local news. Minister Udaya Gammampila says that there is a political conspiracy behind the obstacles made against the regaining of the Trincomalee oil tanks. In a media briefing today, he said the government has planned to reuse the abandoned oil tanks in the Trincomalee farm and to utilize it to boost the economy of the country. He made these remarks as a fundamental rights petition challenging the agreement signed between Sri Lanka and India to develop the FAB was filed in the Supreme Court by a civil society activist, Venerable Wakule Uditathera of the Jatika Bhikshu Peramuna. The petitioner has named 47 individuals, including the Attorney General, Secretary to the President, Minister of Finance, Secretary to the Ministry of Finance, Minister of Energy, and the Auditor General as respondents. Sri Lanka and India reached the agreement on the 6th of January. Ceylon Electricity Board says that there will be no interruptions to the power supply across the island today. CEB says that Ceylon Petroleum Corporation has agreed to supply crude oil for the CEB to run the power plants. It has been made possible to generate power and there is no need for the power cuts anymore, the CEB added. The electricity supply for many parts of the island was suspended for a short time between 5:30 p.m. and 9:30 p.m. yesterday and the day before owing to the fuel issue. Our correspondents report that the CPC has agreed to supply 2,500 metric tons of crude oil each to the barge-mounted power plants. CEB said that there are 2 power plants and the barge-mounted power plant generates 60 megawatts of power while the Sapakanda power generates 160 megawatts of power. The opposition leader Sajith Premadasa has donated a blood dialysis machine to the Vavuniya General Hospital. The blood dialysis machine were much needed requirement for the hospital in the northern part of the island as large number of kidney-related patients are seeking medical treatments daily. The health authorities said the patients have dialysis treatments to save their life if the patient were unable to get a kidney transplant. It is reported the value of the dialysis machine is 2.4 billion rupees. Our correspondent said that this is the 35th dialysis machine provided by the opposition leader to government hospitals. And to conclude the local news, the headlines once again. The President paid homage to the historic Jayasree Mahabodhiya in Anuradhapura. The central bank says that baseless rumours are spread that the bank has a rule to convert the entirety of the workers' remittances forcibly into Sri Lankan rupees. Plans are afoot to introduce a price control mechanism to reduce the prices of chemical fertilizers. Minister Gambapila says that there is a political conspiracy behind the obstacles made against the regaining of the Trikamali oil tanks. The CEB says there will be no disruptions to the power supply across the island today. And that was the local news.
From the very first day at school, teach your child the lesson of saving. Open a Sisul Ghana account with People's Bank. Higher interest with more gifts and benefits.
The main news story is brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya.
The main news story for this evening, the Ministry of Health says that there is a hesitancy shown by the public towards getting the booster dose for COVID-19. It added that it is over apparent misinformation fueled by the misinformation baseless propagandas. Health officials also blame misinformation and ignorance of an unusual level of hesitancy shown towards the booster that there wasn't there for the first 2 jabs. Speaking to the media, Health Promotion Bureau President of the Sri Lanka Society for Medicine, Professor Sarath Lekavasam said it is mostly people over the age of 60 that hesitate to get the 3rd dose. According to the ministry, Pfizer-BioNTech vaccine has been administered to 4.1 million Sri Lankans as their booster jab so far. Professor Sarath Lekavasam said that public was informed and were motivated to get the elderly population jabbed when the vaccine first was available. And that was the main news story.
The main news story was brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya.
And in Washington this evening, Health Minister Kele Rambukala says booster dose will also be made mandatory to access the public places in addition to the first and the second doses. Minister Rambukala stated that a new vaccination card with a QR code and a vaccination app would be introduced soon. Meanwhile, Minister Rambukala said plans are underway to turn all local government bodies in the country into vaccination centres to expedite the booster rollout. And that came to you in Watchlight.
Coming up, World News.
Headlines of the world news: hospitalization of children with COVID-19 have soared in the United States. Gas shortage makes people's lives miserable in Pakistan. Air pollution from wildfires, rising heat affect 43 million in the western United States. Those are the headlines, and now we move on to the details of the world news. Hospitalization of children in the United States in COVID-19 have soared in the recent weeks to the highest level since the pandemic began. Dr. Rochelle Walensky, director of the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, said with the highly contagious Omicron variant spreading furiously across the country, the hospitalization rate in these youngest children has surged to more than 4 in 100,000 children, up from 2.5 per 100,000. The rate among children in the ages of 5 to 17 is about 1 per 100,000, according to the CDC data, which has drawn from over 250 hospitals in 14 states. Many hoped the new year might bring a vaccination for young children, but Pfizer announced last month that 2 doses did not offer as much protection as hoped for the youngsters to 2 to 4. A legislative body, the upper house of the Pakistani parliament, said that the gas shortage has added to the miseries of the people and collaborated efforts are required to be made to provide relief. The issue was discussed during a meeting of the Senate Standing Committee on Petroleum, which was held today in the parliament. At the start of the meeting, Senator Mohsin Aziz raised the issue of disconnection of gas supply to textiles mills in the Khakbar Bankua without any prior notice. He said that this step is a violation of rights of the tax-paying business community. In reply to the raised issue, Secretary Petroleum said that owing to the decrease in domestic production and increase in demand, the government had to shut down supply. An environmental assembly says large wildfires and severe heat events are happening more often, are worsening the air pollution across the western United States. A study has found that these concurrent air pollution events are increasing not only in frequency but the duration and the geographic extent across the region. The study, published in Science Advances, found that such widespread of air pollution events are not only increasing in frequency but also persisting longer and affected a larger geographic extent across the region. They have become so bad that they have reversed many gains of the Clean Air Act. The conditions that create these episodes are also expected to continue to increase along with their threats to human health. And to conclude the world news, the headlines once again. Hospitalization of children with COVID-19 have soared in the United States. Gas shortage makes people's lives miserable in Pakistan. Air pollution from wildfires and rising heat affect 43 million in the western United States. And that was world news.
Development News is brought to you by Let's take coal out of the coconut tree and make the island thriving and prosperous. Call our hotline 1928. WhatsApp 070 400 1928.
And in development news, the second phase of the Central Expressway from Meerigama to Kurunegala will be opened on 15th January, enabling the public to travel nearly 40.91 kilometers between the two towns in just 25 minutes. The stretch comprises of 4 lanes and 5 interchanges at Meerigama, Nakalagamu, Dambokka, Kurunegala and Yakkahapitia. Interchanges with automatic charge counters have also been set up in Meerigama, Nakalagamu, Dambokka and Kurunegala. And that came to you in the segment of Development News.
Development News was brought to you by the coconut tree is well grown in almost all the parts of the island. It is an exceptional source of extra income. The shell, the husk and almost all the parts of the coconut tree makes you money, providing you with an excellent extra source of income. It will also help to nourish the economy of the country. You will be guided with all necessary informations regarding the coconut cultivation, with the novel cultivation techniques and all other related and upgraded informations by the Coconut Research Institute, Lunavilla. Call our hotline 1928. WhatsApp 070 400 1928.
Moving Moving on to sports news, the Sri Lanka cricket says national players who intend to retire from national cricket are required to provide a 3-month prior notice to inform of their intention to retire. The new rule has been laid down during a meeting of the SLC's executive committee yesterday. The Sri Lanka cricket also said retired national players will be issued a no-objection certificate to take part in overseas franchise leagues only if they have completed 6 months of their effective date of retirement. Retired national players will be considered eligible for local leagues such as Lanka Premier League only if they have played 80% of the matches in domestic cricket competitions conducted in the season prior to the conducting of the league, the SLC said further. That was the sports news. Business news coming up.
Cash through NSP globally and win wonderful gifts locally. From October 1st, 2021 to December 31st, 2022. Remit a minimum of $100 or an equivalent amount in any foreign currency 3 times through NSP U Trust.
Business news sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
In business news, Samsung Sri Lanka announces that their widely acclaimed Upgrade Festival has been further extended due to popular demand until the end of January 2022. Accordingly, Samsung Electronics will continue to upgrade all Sri Lankan households to the premium Samsung technology. The campaign, which was launched on the 5th of November, was only valid till December, but now it is extended until the 31st of January 2022. Samsung Sri Lanka said the Upgrade Festival features vouchers up to 5,000 rupees and bundle packs such as free soundbars and microwaves to be redeemed for selected household goods accumulated to the value of 140 million rupees. That was the business news. Economic news follows.
Business news sponsored by
Cash through NSP globally and win wonderful gifts locally. Will you be the lucky winner of the NSP Golden Jubilee? 50 gold sovereigns for the top prize winner of the NSP Golden Jubilee. Scooters for the 10 second prize winners. iPhones for the 10 third prize winners. Mountain bikes for the 29 fourth prize winners. From October 1st, 2021 to December 31st, 2022. Remit a minimum of $100 or an equivalent amount in any foreign currency 3 times through NSP U Trust.
Economic news, courtesy of
Saving money isn't easy when you have responsibility. That's why we promise to give you the best returns and guarantee on your investment. LOLC Finance Fixed Deposits. Maximize your savings. LOLC Finance PLC, incorporated on the 13th of December 2001, is rated SLA stable by ICRA Lanka Limited and is licensed by the Monetary Board of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka under the Finance Business Act number 42 of 2011.
And in economic news, Plantations Ministry said in a bid to cater to the increased demand for coconut-related products, plans are afoot to establish a new coconut export zone in Hambantota. Plantation Minister Ramesh Pathirana said that a new coconut export zone will be set up in the close proximity to the Hambantota port. The minister said, based on the current data, coconut and related products will soon become the leading export revenue-generating products of the country. That was economic news and the weather report to conclude.
Saving money isn't easy when you have responsibility. That's why we promise to give you the best returns and guarantee on your investment. LOLC Finance Fixed Deposits. Maximize your savings. LOLC Finance PLC, incorporated on the 13th of December 2001, is rated SLA stable by ICRA Lanka Limited and is licensed by the Monetary Board of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka under the Finance Business Act number 42 of 2011.
The weather report.
Finally, the weather report. The Met Department says several spells of showers will occur in the northern, north central, eastern and Nuwa provinces and in the Matale and Nuwara Eliya districts. Showers or thunder showers will occur at several places in the western and Sabaragamuwa provinces and in the Galle and Mathura districts during the evening or night. It also stated showers or thunder showers will occur at several places in the sea areas of the coast extending from Puttalam to Hambantota via Colombo and Galle during the evening or night. And before we conclude this bulletin of news, let's get back to the headlines once again. The President paid homage to the historic Jayasree Mahabodhiya in Anuradhapura. The Central Bank says that baseless rumours are spread that the bank had ruled to convert the entirety of the workers' remittances forcibly into Sri Lankan rupees. Plans are afoot to introduce the price control mechanism to reduce the prices of chemical fertilizers. Minister Gammampila says that there is a political conspiracy behind the obstacles made against the regaining of the Trincomalee oil tax. The CEB says there will be no disruption to the power supply across the island today. And in news overseas, hospitalization of children with COVID-19 soars in the United States. And in sports news, national players intend to retire are required to provide a 3-month prior notice to the Sri Lanka cricket. And with that, we conclude this bulletin of news.